Hello, my people. Welcome to another episode of New Affairs. Today, we'll be talking about student leadership. We'll talk about the challenges they face, the opportunities, and the influence they have on our Ghanaian politics. Today, I have with me two great men, should I say young men. They will introduce themselves and then we'll go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Emmanuel. I'm Brightium, and I'm just a past student of University of Professional Studies and currently enrolled with University of Ghana. And that's just a short brief about me.
I'm sure I'm an old face. Yes. So. I'm Nusinyo Donyo, and I'm also a self-employed person, and I'm currently doing my own stuff, and a writer as well. Yes, so a writer and a reader.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Now, you both, one way or the other, have been student leaders before.
That's right.
You were
academic committee chairperson.
Academic committee chairperson for
University of Professional Studies.
And then you were also...
I was also the PRO for Linguistic Students Association at Winneba, UW.
Okay. So you've all had that experience when it comes to leadership.
Sure.
Personally, I've also had a form of leadership experience at a whole level. So I think I also have an idea about it. But yours were a bit higher. How is it like being a student leader?
All right. So first off, leadership on campus, I believe so many people have different ideologies and how they see it. But let's get it straight and be honest here. Some people see it as debate and then challenge of ideas. Mm-hmm. Some people also see it as an opportunity for us to learn and better ourselves. In my own opinion, this is my bias, that leadership at the campus level or student leadership is an avenue for us to better ourselves for future prospects and then future aspirations. That is my basic take of student leadership.
Okay.
Yes. So mine is not too different from his. I think that student leadership simply prepares people who will engage for the future. And so once somebody finds himself in the circles of student leadership, I believe that the person is then preparing himself for what is ahead. And so, yes, it's just preparation grounds for the future. So, yeah.
So you are both talking about precautions.
Yeah.
But should I say, as a friend to people who have actually been in student positions, do you think they are giving that liberty to work if it's actually a preparation? Because yes, we have most of our members of parliament were actually student leaders. Nooks, SRC, most of them. I know a couple of MPs who actually went through that route. But do you think the university, let's take just the university as an example for now.
Okay.
The university, SRC president, are they given that liberty to work? Or they have is kind of this, they are so supervised that they cannot even do the things that they want to do. Do you get my question?
Okay, yes, sir. So let's take our school settings, for example. I so much believe that once we find ourselves in a jurisdiction called university, there are some basic rules that might apply. And in this case, we are talking about one who is an SRC executive or just a student leader, let me put it. This student leader, first off, subjects himself to school policies and then school rules and regulations. And we want to find out whether or not this person is given the ample space or the capacity to really operate. And in my thinking, we have not really been given the opportunity to fully operate. We are limited in a way. Sometimes you may want to really take over things. You may want to really roll out certain initiatives that you think might be helpful to students. But the management says, no, you can't do it this way. So I think that the university in itself has hindered what we have called a progressive action, or say the opportunity we saw as a place to learn or a place to better ourselves. Management itself has been able to limit students in that regard. So this is my mind bias also.
Yeah. I think that question is actually a broad one, because I would like to take it from the perspective of student leadership history in Ghana.
Okay.
Yes, because I think that student leadership has gone through several processes, or several phases, if you like. And if we take a critical look at student leadership history in Ghana, we realize that the way it started is not the way it's going now.
Mm-hmm.
So before, students were very vibrant, not just the leaders, but of course it was championed by the student leaders or the leadership. And if you check right from Ghana's pre-colonial history to colonial times and even post-colonial, you realize that it has gone through several changes. So what we have as NUCS now was before the Union of Ghana, the Union of Gold Coast Students. Before, that was somewhere in the 1930s, before we came to have the National Union of Ghana Students, which is now the NUCS. And when you check throughout history, it has gone through. He said something which is very key, which is that they are not given a certain liberty, or that freedom to operate has been curtailed. And it is due to several factors. Number one could be the proliferation of several political, party ideologies and all that. Now we have TESCON and TAME. And all those parties, began to take root in student leadership from somewhere in the early 2000s. So now, and then again, the power they are given, the authority they are given to operate is no longer there. So for instance, certain actions that have been taken in our schools, especially in our universities, when we check KNUST, for instance, the last major demonstration they had was somewhere in 2019. That was Obi Danso Must Go. It was popular, Obi Danso Must Go demonstration. He was then the VC for KNUST.
Yes.
They turned cars and it was a very massive one. So I'm not saying that it's allowed, but I think that student leaders or students themselves in Ghana have a serious and a key role to play, even in our independence. And right now, as we speak, so much has gone down. And it is not like before. Now, it's like we are just acting.
Yes.
There's really no power, nothing. Like, the wings have been broken completely. So,
and
I don't feel it at all.
With that being the case, do you see it affecting the student body? Now, the leader is supposed to represent the students.
Yeah,
that's true.
And this is why elections are carried out, and the students vote for them. But when they get there, they do not have that. So someone can make up all the promises, I'll do this, I'll do that, whatever. But once the person gets there, there is no freedom to work.
Exactly.
In a way, has the leader failed the student body? It's not his fault. So you were going for vice president for UPSC. Can you give us some of the policies that you actually had in mind for the student body?
All right. So my very first policy I wanted to roll out with my then running mates was to make sure we provide buses for our students. People move from various hostels to campus. So what we wanted to do is bring about the shuttle service, where at designated areas, we would have shuttles moving to pick up students at given times. The second one also was to make sure that we have selected people in various departments. What we will call them coordinators of various courses. We came to school specifically to pursue academic excellence. And then, of course, you could have people who, for a reason or two, may not be able to grasp everything in the classroom. So what we wanted to do was make sure we have coordinators for individual courses. And these coordinators, what they will do is make sure they organize special classes for students who have specific challenges. So we term that as the Iron Sharpnet Iron classes. The next one also was to make sure whichever issue there is on ground, we are there to advocate. And then also during examination, the library is choked. Just because we do not really have a very big space, if I'm permitted to say. We don't really have a very big space. So we wanted to be able to advocate for a 24-hour library system such that you would have the opportunity to learn, for person B also to have the opportunity to come learn. So these are some of the initiatives we wanted to roll out when given the nod. But then life happened. We didn't get a chance,
Okay. Now, see, with all the policies that you've mentioned, I think the second one, that is the Iron
Sharpnet Iron academic excellence.
That is something that could have been achieved because it didn't really need some resources, even the high approval of management. By looking at the first one, the shuttle one, you would have sorted out for the approval
of management.
of management. In a way, this is a policy that you've actually advertised. And then let's just say you have voted into,
Okay.
you come into power and management is saying we do not have the resources to make this happen. In a way, have you failed the student body?
Well, in the eyes of the students, I have failed them. And personally, I wouldn't feel very, very good because I made a promise. And once I make a promise, I need to make sure I fulfill that, regardless of the circumstances that underline this particular issue we are talking about. I have failed as a leader because I wasn't able to serve my people. I have failed as a leader, regardless of the circumstance.
Okay. So listen,
Yeah.
in relation to this, do you think as student leaders or people who are actually vying for student positions, before they make up their policies, they should actually sit down and, I don't know, if they can have a conversation with management before their policies are made, so that at the end of the day, it will not be like you made a promise and you failed us.
Definitely. I think that before somebody makes a promise, the person should have first of all, sought from the relevant authorities what goes into making the promise come to pass. So you cannot just get up and then make any promise. So I think that those who make exaggerated promises just do that to win power and all that. And usually the common person or the average person would just want you to say something into his ears that pleases him so that he would vote for you. But definitely, if you really mean business and you want to make a change, I think the best thing you would need to do would be to at least get to one or two people close to the management and to see how much power is given to the student leader. Some student leaders have gone out of their ways to do things that, were maybe over them.
Mm-hmm.
Not really over them as in, but I think they have done things that the normal student leader wouldn't sacrifice to do. Yes, so in our student leadership history, we get people who went, out of their way to do things which management was against. And I think those are the leaders that we should be praying for as students or even as a country, because if you have people who can really go out of their way and not be shy, not be provoked by people who are because all student leaders they are now getting their first degrees and probably masters.
Mm-hmm.
For undergraduates, SRC student leaders, they are now probably getting their first degree. So as a student leader like that, what power, do you have to stand up to and challenge? Because they sit on management meetings.
Since you are there.
Yes, and that is the kind of leaders that we should be praying for. But unfortunately, Charlie, it's not that easy to stand again. But some have done it in the past, really. Yeah, some have done it in the past. They went against management. What happened in 2019 in tech, like I was saying, it was in a way championed by the student leaders. They were at the forefront of it.
They supervised that.
Yes, and that massive thing. And I believe in a way it went against them, but we are just seated here. Yes, so it's quite tough. But that's one of the sacrifices people make, or you should be willing to make as a leader. So it's part of the hazards, yeah.
But averaging, looking at the various universities, NUCs, I don't really know much about NUCs. That's how the conversation is not moving towards that side. But I know they are also championing.
Yeah, I think NUCs is actually the mother of
the mother.
students.
Yes,
the mother.
Yes, NUCs is the mother.
Okay, so looking at NUCs, looking at the SRC level, departmental levels, hall levels, general, from your own point of view, do you think student leaders are important? Have they, in a way, lived up to the purpose that they were supposed to?
Who's taking it?
Oh, you can take it.
Okay, yes. So, like I said, for me, my expectations have been cut short, especially for those of us who are privy to student leadership history. You know that a lot has been lost, and the things that we expect to see, we are not really seeing them, especially because, like I said from the beginning, there has been that proliferation, ideologically. And so all of them are either here or there. In fact, most of these student leaders are actually being groomed from the beginning. So they have their
system,
their own system and their own mentors in the political space, the national political space, who are grooming them. On top of my head, I can name about 3 NUCS leaders of course, you see, the issue is not really about whether you take sides after your leadership, but the issue really is about how much change you are able to, effect, irrespective of the political party you belong to. Okay? Because if I may say this, historically, when you look at Kwame Nkrumah was one of the people that championed the formation of NUCS, because NUCS was formed somewhere in the 1960s. And around that time, Nkrumah was still in power until somewhere in 1966 when he was overthrown. But when you check NUCS, the history of NUCS, you realize that he was one of the people that helped form it. But later on, it will be interesting for you to know that NUCS, the leadership of NUCS later on challenged Kwame Nkrumah for his Preventive Detention Act, which led to J.B. Dankwa being thrown in Nsawam prison. You see, I think that is the kind of leadership we want.
Yes, we want.
But now, no, not at all. Even the truth of the matter is that that power, the political class have managed to take away that student activism spirit. It's not there. Like student activism spirit. Even right now, Charlie, students don't even care about
whatever happens.
You get it. So
I won't get my grades.
It's not there. Charlie, right now they are just looking at what will I after here I'll be joining which of the parties,
Yes.
So it's a calculated thing that current NUCS spread. I just don't want to mention names, but all of them are just doing it's just not fair, It is not the kind of leadership we want if we really want change. This school, Ghana National College. History tells us that Ghana National College was formed with dismissed students from, Infante Pima, Desadel, and Augustins,
The national,
Yes, Ghana National College. It was formed with students from, dismissed students from Adesadel, St. Augustine's, and Infante Pima. Yeah. And they were all, involved in this activism thing around the time Nkrumah was in prison and all that.
Okay.
But today, even in the universities, you are not getting that how much more senior high school. So a lot has changed, and maybe we must go back if we really want the country to progress like we want it.
From what we've discussed, I can say that apart from interference from management, politics has also played a role.
I think it even came from politics before management. Because if students are really given that freedom, it's off. That it has been taken off.
Our final take on this. Let's ask. I'm going to ask the major question that people always ask: corruption.
Yeah,
it looks like it starts from the student level, because there are a lot of things that we are complaining about the politicians now, and we see it within our student leadership, and it's even worse because with that we know what's actually happened. Again, you've had the opportunity of being close to student leaders. Is there corruption, or is it just an idea that people are running with?
Okay, so corruption in itself, it exists. It exists. But that's the reality on ground. It exists.
Within the student leadership?
Within the student leadership, it exists. And what we see being projected in the national politics and what we really complain about, most often than not, are test-driven in our various campuses. Mm-hmm. Whatever we see happening there are things we mirror here on campus. So if I'm a better person here on campus, you expect that I become a better person in the near future. So most people are given the nod to be able to roll things out, to be able to represent student interests. The little resources of students are given to them to manage activities, implement projects. But you see people implementing projects, constructing things on behalf of students with a very ballooned budget. We may recall from KNUST, they stated that they built a shuttle, a bus stop, and the figure that was quoted, I can't remember the exact figure, and I don't want to misquote. The figure that was quoted were the kind of projects you see. You realize that these students have indeed been corrupted to the extent that they are more corrupt than the fathers of corruption. That is a very serious matter on ground. So most student leaders actually begin their corruption activities, and then they graduate into the major system, and then they try and then project into bigger embezzlement. So this is my own take
they are
on this.
almost always the same people who end up in mainstream politics.
Yeah.
Almost always. When we check, Honorable Kujeto Ablakwa was a NUCS president. I'm not saying, I'm just listing.
2005.
I'm just listing student leaders who have become, who have entered mainstream politics. Honorable Haruna Idrisu was once NUPS president. Is it Samir Uku? All of
So
them.
Samir Uku was,
They
and then
all
former
had, yes.
finance minister.
So, I mean, all of them have gone through the student leadership, and it is always, they always are the ones who end up there. The people who come from outside and enter somewhere on the road are few, but mostly they are the SRC presidents, the NUPS general secretaries, and, you know, even in the current government, there's a former NUPS general secretary, I mean, in there. So it's once they don't grow the seed of integrity inwardly, they take it up there, of course. But we know for sure that it is not every student leader, and it's not all of them who are corrupt. Maybe we can say most, but not all. Definitely,
That
not
is
all.
something we can agree on.
Yes, yes. So,
But you were not corrupt.
I mean, is it the fact of the matter is, I think that corruption is a human thing. Okay, what makes it different, especially on our part of the world, is the level at which, I mean, things happen.
Is that justification for corruption?
Yeah, corruption is a human thing because, you know, even right from the beginning, humans have already been corrupted. When the fall happened, when the fall happened, humans were corrupt. That's why we die. Yes, I mean, even if there will be no death. So I'm just saying, but the difference is that some people have managed to discipline themselves so well. Some people have built the virtue of integrity, and they can actually hit their chest and say, there are politicians who do that. They can hit their chest at anywhere and say that they have not taken a penny. I mean, they may have done other things wrong throughout history. Even the best presidents in the world, when we go into their, I mean, work as presidents, I'm sure we'll find one or two things which were not so.
Okay.
It may not be about corruption, but it may be about something that didn't go well somewhere, you know. So I think that really we can build student leaders and even national leaders who are full of integrity and are only willing to run the country forward. It's something we can do. And I believe in it. Even in Ghana now, there are politicians on both sides who have their integrity intact. Yeah.
Yeah, for this one, it is possible.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it is possible.
Yeah.
Thank you
not
so
by
much.
yes, it is possible anyway.
Thank you so much for joining us. So again, this is New Affairs. We've had conversations about student leadership. We are the future of the country, so it's very important that we get our acts right and do the right thing. Thank you for joining us. And if you're a student leader or you've had any interaction with any student leader, you can put your ideas or whatever you have to say in the comment box. Kindly share, like, and subscribe.